You know what? Don't feel bad. You do twice a week, Stacey. I'm on it every night.
So, to put language to seasonal depression, it's actually called seasonal affective disorder.
Before we begin today's episode, I do want to just take a second and give a gentle cautionary trigger warning that this episode is going to be a little sensitive. It's going to be a little deep. What's up? What's up? Welcome back to the Living Room Podcast. I, of course, am your host, Adriann, but I am not by myself today. And we are going to introduce my wonderful guest in just a second. But before we begin today's episode, I do want to just take a second and give a gentle cautionary trigger warning that this episode is going to be a little sensitive. It's going to be a little deep. Today, we are talking about something that is very prevalent, that matters in this society more than I think ever, considering the climate, and that is our mental health. If at any point in time you guys get overwhelmed, you get overstimulated, please feel free to skip, pause, or just come back to the episode when it's better for you. But at the end of the day, this is to help, this is to guide, this is to lead. Our guest today is not your counselor at all. She is not giving anybody direct anything. I want to be very
Mm-mm.
clear on that. She is
Mm-mm.
not your counselor, but she is a counselor, and she is here to give us just some good tools that we can put in our toolkit. You are not her client. You are not sitting on her couch. You're in my living room. Today we have none other than my great friend, Miss Stacy. Oh my God, Stacy is a licensing professional counseling supervisor. So that's a LPC S for the girlies with credentials. And she is
Mm-hmm.
also a licensed marriage and family therapist. Stacy.
Good morning.
First of all, Stacey, you are the only guest that can make me sit in this living room before 5 p.m.
Adrian, you don't be up.
Stacey, I don't do
You,
podcasts early in the morning.
you don't be having the energy.
Nope, that's what this episode about. You finna help me. You finna give
Well,
me the
we're
tools.
here.
You
I
finna give me
appreciate
the
you.
tools. I appreciate you. Stacey, y'all, Stacey is, when I think of you, I think of Black girl magic at its purest and highest form. And I am not just
Don't
saying
start.
that because you are my
Don't
friend.
start.
I literally just see Black girl excellence, the way that you drive, thrive, hustle, and the way that you are still building in your lane with respect to your own timing. I love to have that as a friend, to see that in
Mhm.
you, because it keeps me grounded. Like, you're just, I
I
love you.
appreciate you. I love you more. I love
I'm
you more. And your drive, your
listen,
baby, to know you personally is to love you. The way you wife, the way you mom, the way you boss, unmatched.
listen.
You be
Well,
over there cooking, wifing, mommying, working. And yeah, I be thinking I'm grown. But yeah, I appreciate you. I appreciate your friendship and I love you down.
listen, and that alone is one of the main reasons why I wanted you here, just because even though there is a friendship there, there's also a level of mentorship there. And I think that you have so much inside that people can connect with, because I think it's easy for, people to see the posts and they can see the reels and it's like, oh, I resonate with that. But to have the physical person there and just give it from a
Hmm.
different vantage point, I'm excited to talk about this with you. So thank you so much for being here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. So again, I just want to tell y'all right now, I'm gonna tell y'all one more time. This is gonna be the third time I told y'all watching. This is educational based. She is not your clinician. Okay. This is not clinical advice
Thank
that
you.
she's giving you. I want to be very clear on that. So okay, nobody say, well, Stacy said she
Uh-uh.
advised. Okay.
Mm-mm.
She
I ain't
just
got no
gave a
money.
little bit. Listen,
I ain't got
we
no money.
the check ain't clear. Okay, so Stacy, as you know, you and I had a private girl to girl regular conversation a couple weeks ago
Mhm.
about the holidays. The weather is changing, child. It's At this point, it's like very confusing. I don't know how it
It-
is for y'all.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
hot, it's
it's cold.
cold, it's hot, it's cold, it's all over the place, right? And
Hmm.
I was having a conversation with you about, Stacey, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I'm going down this thing of a little sad, a little blue
Yeah.
feeling,
Hmm.
but everything is okay. Like, everything, logistically speaking, is okay. And
Hmm.
we had a conversation where I asked you, is there a such thing as seasonal depression? Is there a such
Hmm.
thing as just being in those moments? So I think what I really wanted to do was just try to give tools to people to put in their toolkit going into this new year at this point, because
Hmm.
we're already in the thick of holiday season, but
Hmm.
we're like 5 days away from Christmas. People gonna be around their families. Everybody don't really like their family. People be doing too
Hmm.
much, be triggering people, be asking people questions that ain't none of their business.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to be able to present something to the people with, something to help them get through the 45-minute Christmas dinner so they can get their boxes and go. But also also something that can help them going into the new year,
Hmm.
because what I'm personally realizing is that you can't wait for the new year to do new things. You have to kind of
No.
start implementing them early.
Hmm.
So, I just want to jump into it and try to see, why do
Hmm.
you think, I want to use correct verbiage with all of this, mental health struggles intensify sometimes during these cold weather months?
Girl, that's a loaded answer. Um, so to put language to seasonal depression, it's actually called seasonal affective disorder.
Okay.
So that's the diagnosis for it. But basically a lot is changing. Like you said, the weather's changing. We get less daylight. And so we have to work twice as hard
Mhm.
to impact our mood. And so think
Mhm.
about it, when we go out of town, right? When we were in Miami, we didn't have to worry.
I actually have on my shirt from Miami. That's so funny you said that.
Yeah. But when you are in settings where there's a lot of sunlight, when you're on an
Mhm.
island, your mental health is, for the most part, you feel good. You don't
Mhm.
have to work twice as hard. But
Mhm.
the winter or the colder months bring about, you have to work. You have to work
Mhm.
for it. You have to work for um, your mood to, I don't know. I guess like the vitamin D levels, right? All those things play a part. And
Mhm.
so making sure that you are eating, sleeping, resting, and moving, making sure that you are getting as much sunlight as you can, making
Mhm.
sure that we are changing our traditions around
Mhm.
this time of the year because and I think that's something that we'll get to soon, but there's a lot of triggers, as you said, that come about the holiday season. And so I
Mhm.
think all of those things play a part in seasonal affective disorder.
Mhm. What do you think, from your experience, just your experience of just being, cuz even outside of your career path, I find you to be one person that is very emotionally intelligent, and you are able to give great advice to your friends, not from a
Wonderful.
kind of direction, but you are, anytime I come to you and I'm like on 10, you're always like calming me down, like that reassuring voice of like, okay, well, why do you feel this way? Why do you
Yeah.
think that happened? What emotions do you see come up the most during this time of year, even within your friend group?
Girl, depression and anxiety,
Mhm.
like the depression because of the pressures that come with the colder months, and
Mhm.
trying to make sure that we're doing all the things, all of the holiday parties, all of
Mhm.
the things that you see on social media that you may feel like you have to match. The anxiety that comes with the holiday season and the colder months of, now I have to face my family, right? I
Mhm.
probably was able to get away with saying, oh, I gotta work, I gotta work, I gotta work, to
Mhm.
get away from like Sunday dinners, the birthdays, the regular. But
Mhm.
I think the anxiety that comes with being around family or just spaces that you don't want to be in.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, also the anxiety of the financial stressors, right? Around these times, we feel pressed
Mhm.
to spend way more money than we. You see this economy? We
I told
complain about them groceries all the time.
listen, because you got me at Costco now, and I
So,
just you and this man I married got me
yeah.
at Costco.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think
Listen.
anxiety and depression, I see that so much, and you would
Mhm.
be surprised. I wish I could show you my books,
Mhm.
but I typically see a spike in my clients for the week before holidays, the week
Wow.
during, and the week after.
Wow, so it's like a 3-week period where they're, like,
It's a
really just
period.
holding and harboring all this stuff.
Yes. And it's typically Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Mhm. You know, you said something that really, resonated with me. God has been dealing with me in this season of my life. He is always dealing with me. I am like a problem child
So,
when we get to heaven, I'm gonna be in the corner. He gonna put
yeah,
me in the corner very often.
absolutely. Same.
It's
Same.
okay. As long as I'm there. I made it.
We're gonna
Hey,
be together.
I'm okay with this. Okay. But he has been dealing with me in this season, Stacy, with patience and also the revelation of comparison is the thief of joy. And you mentioned something on how depression and anxiety is sometimes attributed at this time because people are tying themselves to a 30-second reel, a
That's
30-second highlight, a few pictures. And I wanted to ask, knowing that how can we train the human brain, or what is anything that we can do to not put ourselves in that place of comparison to something that we don't even know how it came to be, to the fact where it's not a detriment to our mental health,
it.
it's not a detriment adding on to our depression, adding on to our anxiety. Is there
Hmm.
anything that someone can do in a quick moment to just regroup themselves?
Girl, boundaries. Like boundaries with self and with other people.
Mhm.
Around this time, I definitely encourage people to set boundaries with yourself and especially social media.
Mhm.
And so one of the tips that I have, because TikTok got me in a deep chokehold right now.
Me too.
Uh, but one of the boundaries that I have with myself, honestly, is instead of scrolling, just click stories. That way you
Okay.
can control what you see.
Okay.
Also reminding yourself this is just a moment in time and focus on your own personal goals.
That's good.
That's
That's
it.
good. I like that.
That's it.
Shifting it back to
Mhm,
yourself, to
mhm.
where you're not, because one thing that oh my God, God is so intentional. I have been all this week. It actually started with that man I'm married to. He said something last Sunday,
Uh-huh.
and that it was something about like being in a waiting room, like just waiting on God to answer a prayer,
That's
waiting on God to
it.
fulfill. But then we went to church, and the
Uh-huh.
sermon was also about waiting on God. So just like the idea of having the patience, not putting yourself to somebody else's metrics, not putting yourself to somebody else's timeline, and having, or like you said, creating those boundaries or self-control. Because I find a lot of times when we find ourselves in those places, I'm going to talk about me so I don't talk about them. It's because I've lost control over that one area of my life.
Mhm,
I've let
mhm.
that grip that I had slip away. So now it's just up to the unknown on how it manifests or how it shows up. So I think that's a really good pointer. Taking those small steps of just, even setting timers. I know I sometimes set timers on my
Yes.
apps. Now, if it's
Yes.
TikTok, I ignore for 5 minutes.
Ignore.
And 5 minutes turns into 2 hours. But
Yes.
setting those timers, using those resources on our devices to help
Mhm,
balance everything.
mhm,
So I also do believe that sometimes we are not in a position where we are aware of what our triggers are, or we
mhm.
know our triggers, and we sometimes ignore them because in the Black community, I'm gonna talk about us because I can't talk
Please,
about nobody else.
please bring it there.
The notion or the idea of
Mhm,
something could be wrong with me is
mhm,
like a scarlet letter. We
mhm,
don't I think we've gotten better. I think we've gotten better. But I know for me personally, I come from a household where it was what goes on in this house stays in this house, and it better not go out the walls of this house. And I think that sometimes for the people who grew up in that generation, like for me, my children, get
mhm,
help. If you
mhm,
don't feel comfortable talking to me, if you don't feel comfortable talking to your dad, you need to talk to someone.
mhm.
So it's like that atmosphere is created in our home, but in my house it wasn't there. So I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of people in our age bracket, they hold on to stuff and
Girl.
they don't talk about it. How can someone address the silent triggers that they know are there, even if it's
Mm-hmm.
not that they're at a point where they want to go cry on a couch? Because me and you love a couch.
Baby, we love one. I
Baby,
need to set my
listen.
appointment. We love one.
I love a couch, okay? I'm gonna give
Yes.
you this money or you can build this insurance, but I'm gonna come over there and I'm gonna cry real
I'm
ugly.
coming. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Do you hear
So
me?
yes,
So
yes,
what
yes,
what
yes.
about the people who they're not there yet, but they want to try to get there? What can they do independently to just
Mhm.
try to address some of those silent triggers?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier.
Mm.
Um, they have to be ready. We were talking about just being women of convenience earlier. And sadly, there's some work that only we can do.
Oh, that's real.
And so I think that it starts with a level of awareness to say, or putting pride to the side, or unlearning
Mhm.
all of those negative thoughts and patterns that we were taught, like whatever happens here stays here.
Mhm.
Right? Those things are not healthy because, mom and daddy, y'all are not even emotionally intelligent. So if we follow that and we
Mhm.
pass it down to generations, everybody remains in this state of stuckness and
Mhm.
everybody's mental health is at stake.
Mhm.
And so I think the
Real.
first step is actually being aware that, okay, these things keep coming up quite often. I'm
Mhm.
not sure what it is, but like we talked about in a separate conversation, this don't feel right. I don't know what this is. I don't know. And just being able to be vulnerable enough to say
Mhm.
that so that you
Mhm.
can get some help.
Mhm.
Right, because there are some things that you have to literally go to see a clinician to be able to connect the dots. And
Mhm.
until we connect things, we can't heal or
Mhm.
progress. Just
Mhm.
like if you go to the doctor, if you sit there, and for Black folks, we got to talk about it in a physical manner because
Mhm.
sometimes we ignore our mental health. But if
Yes.
you go to the doctor and you sit in a lobby and they ask you what you're there for and you can't say, you just gonna sit there. Right.
Exactly.
And so I
Uh-huh.
think with healing comes with being able to put language to what you're feeling. And
Mhm.
sometimes we have to go to a clinician to get that language.
Mhm. I agree, and I think that that's another part of, especially like I said, growing up
Mhm.
is not feeling like you have the freedom to express yourself. When we talk about language and connecting the
Mhm.
dots and finding the words that go with that, it's, when you're stuck in that mind state of, this is what it is because I said it is that way and there is no explanation behind it. I'm not explaining myself. I'm not saying it. I think that we, as now the real adults, we also have
Mhm.
to do a better job at providing a space for our children that are coming behind us, or just the community, even if you don't have children that are
Mhm.
coming behind us, to give and have that open space of, I feel this way and this is why. I know
Mhm.
that for me and my husband, we are really good at having a conversation with our kids,
Yes.
and we always say to them, especially our older children, Alani, she kind of be handling us a little bit, a little, a little bit, just a little
She
bit.
run that house. She
Listen,
run.
she kinda on leave right now. She got a little fever, so we've been breathing. But lately we be on eggshells. But for our older children, especially them, because they are coming into that age where you're gonna have
Mhm.
different experiences now. We lead our conversations with, this is not to attack you. This is
Mhm.
not to gang up on you. This is not to make you
Mhm.
feel like we are 100% right and you are 100% wrong, but it
Mhm.
is to have an open dialogue to understand, okay, why is this happening? Why do you
Mhm.
feel this way? So there is a little bit of a back and forth. Whereas with me,
Uh-uh.
girl, my mama gonna call me when she see this. She used to say, CPS, go get her. I'ma slap you till you see stars.
I'm a or the braces ain't gonna be there, right? Opposed to, and that's what I love, even with the way that you communicate with Alani. How old is Alani?
Alani is 6, going on 15.
Right, right, right. But even with that, your language, I think
Mhm.
you've adapted and done the work to have those communication dialogues to
Mhm.
still be firm and say, you know what, mom and dad are not going to we're firm on this, but we can process how you feel.
Mhm.
And I've heard you do that quite a bit. And so
Mhm.
even with that, it's a generational change in the direction that we need to go.
Mhm. You know, Stacey, I'm gonna pivot for just a second, but God is so good. I celebrated my birthday, what, 2 weeks ago, and I
Mhm,
felt for the first time. I was telling my husband, he kept asking me, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" I still ain't picked out
mhm,
a gift yet, and it wasn't because I didn't know what I want. It was because for the first, okay, I'm not doing this. For the first time in my life, I truly
mhm,
felt like I had everything I needed, and
mhm,
it was because I was able to see something manifest in my life as an adult, but the
mhm,
child me was healed for a quick
mhm.
second. Ooh, okay. Because my kids were healthy. My
Uh-huh.
man is amazing. I'm being
Mhm,
loved properly. I'm being
mhm,
supported properly. And I
mhm,
think, just talking about the generational curses of,
mhm,
I don't think I would be able to have that moment that I had if I didn't
mhm,
get the help I needed from a clinician. If
mhm.
I didn't start the work 5, 6 years ago to get
Yes.
me in a better position, especially coming off of what I was coming off of.
Mhm.
But it just all goes to show it starts with doing the work. It
With
starts with
doing
being
the work.
ready. Because there's so
Mhm.
much more that you can benefit from if you do the
So
work.
much more. And these skills are you can transfer them, right?
Mhm.
So the work that you did, right? You
Mhm.
were, and I do want to highlight this. You, and this is one of the traits that I love about you. You are very vulnerable in safe spaces.
Mhm.
You will be the first to say like, "Girl, I'm struggling." And as Black people, we don't really do that. We
Uh-huh.
don't really do that.
Uh-huh.
Even in friendships, I think that, you are one of my friends who I can be completely vulnerable with.
Mhm.
But that's where it starts. We have to be vulnerable enough to say, this don't feel good. This ain't it.
Mhm.
I think I
Mhm.
did something wrong, or I'm really upset in this moment. So I need this space to say all this stuff. But I'm gonna take it back maybe tomorrow. But I just need to
Mhm.
say it.
Mhm.
And so you were in a place to where you can be very vulnerable. You were able to get that stuff out, to get the language to how you were feeling in order
Mhm.
to do the work.
Right. Right.
And so it takes that. And
Mhm.
sadly, some people who are willing to do it just to say they did it,
Mhm.
sometimes either A, they don't do the work, or B, they're not vulnerable enough so that they can progress with the
Mhm.
tools. But yeah, these tools, you transfer them. So you learn them
Mhm.
for yourself. Now they're showing in your marriage, they're showing in your parenting, they're showing up at work. And so
Mhm.
it's bigger than just therapy for you.
Mhm. And you said something when we were like really starting our friendship and we were really connecting because I had known you from being on campus, but you were
Mhm.
older, so you didn't have time for my girl. You a young Thundercat. I don't have time for you. It
You
was
so
cute,
crazy.
like, hey, okay, whatever. But when you and I really started to develop our
Mhm.
friendship and I was going through a tough time and I was talking to you, you said something to me that it wasn't necessarily what I thought you was going to tell me, but it's something that I keep with me to this day and I want to share this with the audience.
Please.
When you are going through something, you said to me, you have to sit in this. You
Mhm.
have to be in this because I think we as people, especially people of color, we
Especially.
focus so much on the solution, the I want to be happy, that I don't want to go through this pain, that I don't
Mhm.
want to feel like this, to where if we don't sit in that first, for me, I learned I'm not going to appreciate the goodness that's going to come when I get out of this because it's
Mhm.
going to happen too quick.
That's good.
I'm not going to learn the lesson because there's a lesson for me to be in this. The lesson isn't going to stick. And
Mhm.
three, you have to go through it. You just have to go through it.
You have to. That's a word. That's a word. And I think
Mhm.
going back to what you said, as people, we're taught that. We're taught,
Mhm.
and I'm talking to myself right now. I'm like you. If our kids are sick, girl, go drink some water and lay down. Right. And so
Listen.
even as an adult, sometimes it's hard to identify, am I sick or am I sick?
Mhm.
Either way, you need rest, right?
Exactly.
And so that's
Exactly.
kind of how we're taught. And going back to what you said about emotions, my boss, whom I love, something that an analogy that she uses about emotions all the time is emotions are just like visitors, right?
Mm.
It's the holiday season. We're about to have a lot of visitors.
Well, I
When
don't
they
know about a
come,
lot.
yeah, I'm not having none. But Talking about the people
The
now.
people, the people,
Yeah.
the people.
So when the visitors come, we feed them. We're
Mm-hmm.
Southern. We Southern Bells. We
Mm-hmm.
feed them. We
Mm-hmm.
may give them a little drinky drink. We give them water. We make them feel welcome. And by
Mm.
the end of the night, most of our visitors leave or listen.
That's good.
That's how our emotions work.
That is good.
And
That
so
is
if we don't
good.
learn to identify, if we don't learn to sit in them, oh, they gonna linger and they gonna
Mm-hmm.
tear us up.
And then you know what about them visitors when they sit and they linger? We be in our head like, I wish they would get up and go. I done turned off the light. I didn't clean my kitchen.
Clean my
And
kitchen.
they just sitting there talking.
Yeah.
But like you said, we
Mhm.
have to be in a position where that environment is created where it's like, okay, you're welcome
I
here
welcome you.
is a little bit over. That is a good analogy. I
And
really like that.
yes, we have to sit. And as Black folk, we're not taught to sit in any aspect of our life. We're taught to push through,
Mm.
right? We're taught to work harder.
Mhm.
We're taught to do everything but rest, sit in, and take care of.
Mhm. You know what? That's a great pivot because I want to talk about something that I know you personally love and
What?
you listen. One thing Stacy going to do is self-care. Stacy is
Oh
going
yeah.
to self-care like it is
Yes.
nobody's business. So much Stacy, you made me laugh the last time we were on the phone and
What
you
we
were
talked about?
telling me about how you had got back from a trip.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay, well, what you got going on? Because you're always busy. Oh, I'm getting ready to go do such and such. I'm like, friend, you got a friend.
Yeah.
Stacy was self care until
Yeah.
there's no more self care left for nobody else. What
Yes.
does the healthy boundaries look like when we are
Mm-hmm.
talking about self care? Because it is very, very important. And that was also
Mm-hmm.
something that, as a friend, I have learned from you. And
Mm-hmm.
also the notion or the idea of self-care does not have to be big. Self-care does not have to be expensive. But when we're talking about the idea of, okay, this is where we are, right? Especially with the holiday season, people are coming, all the things. How can people implement a little bit of self-care into the busy schedules or chaos that's to come?
Girl, boundaries. I think that just as much as I value self care, I value boundaries because I think
Mm.
they go hand in hand.
Mhm.
And so, honestly, at the top of my morning, I'm starting off with asking, what do you need in this moment? You only got an hour before work. You know, we don't have much time. But
Mhm.
what do you need before you cater to work, before you cater to, being a wife, before you cater to your family? What do you need?
Mhm.
Because I think that kind of lessens the thought of I'm always doing for somebody else.
Mhm.
Life comes with a lot, and sometimes it hits you like a ton of bricks. Sometimes you have your moments where you're like, okay, I'm expecting something.
Mhm.
But that's why it's so important to make sure that your self-care jar is full so that no matter what season you're having, you're able to kind of balance it all.
Mhm. What does self-care look like for you personally in this season? What's the last thing you've done for your self-care?
You so messy.
I am.
I typically the top four: eat, sleep,
Uh-huh.
rest, and move.
Okay,
So I
that's good.
typically try to make sure that I'm moving my body four or five times a week.
Listen,
We gonna get on it.
we not gonna
We
get
gonna
on
get on
that.
it.
I'm not
We
getting
gonna
on
get
that
on it.
train, friend.
We
I
gonna get
did it
on
for
it.
you for the trip. Now you might catch me for our girls trip. That I might
Okay.
text you a week before the girls trip, be like, Stacy, I'm at the gym. Cause you know me, I'm a very dynamic type
Uh
of I
huh.
will starve myself for a
Uh
week.
huh. Uh huh. But you got the body. That's why that works for you. You don't have to work hard
Stacey,
because
I'm
you
getting
can.
older though. Stuff is
You're getting
gonna
older.
start slowing down.
You're getting older.
Eventually,
So yes, absolutely.
it's stuff is starting to slow down. But you
Yeah.
eat, you move, you rest. And what was the fourth one?
And sleep,
And
eat,
sleep.
sleep, rest, and move.
Mm-hmm.
I make sure that, no matter what's happening, and
Mm-hmm.
going back to mental health, sometimes we have those nights where we're restless, right? Our minds are just going 90 to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I heard some negative research come out, but do your own. But
Right.
at least twice a week, I'm forced to take melatonin. I try to
Mm.
do something. I try to make sure that I'm going to bed around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, making sure that you're getting enough rest and enough sleep to where your mental health is not impacted on that end.
Mm-hmm. You know what? Don't feel bad. You do twice a week, Stacey. I'm on it every night. I'm on it because you know why? And I told my husband this.
Wow.
I for whatever reason,
Mhm.
because I am hustling and bustling throughout the day, the
You
work,
hustling.
the kids, the man, the this, the that, when I find myself in my bed, that's where I'm most comfortable and I'm most
Mhm.
calm, but I'm also the creative light bulb comes on. So the things
Yes.
like the podcast, the
Uh-huh.
nonprofit, all
Mhm.
that extra stuff that I don't get to tend to throughout the day because of my 9 to 5, it
Mhm.
then becomes my 5 to 9 or
Mhm.
my 5 to 2 a.m. and I'm up thinking, I'm up brainstorming. So
Mhm.
I me and melatonin,
Yeah. But like you said
we go
earlier,
together real fast.
boundaries, set
Yeah.
timers with, that, or maybe putting it on paper. I think
Mhm.
we're just wired to normalize the thoughts and how
Mhm.
much our brains remind us of all this stuff all day. And so a
Mhm.
lot of times we need to actually just put that stuff on paper. So set an
Mhm.
hour to actually get those things on paper so
Mhm.
that your brain is trying to do something that we've made it to do that is not created to do, which is
Mm.
just allowing our brains to keep reminding us, no, that's why you got all them gadgets.
'Cause you love a planner.
Two sitting right here, one on the phone, one on the computer. I can't operate without, or my brain, right?
Uh-huh.
It's constantly trying to remind me, you got this to do, you got that to do. Don't forget that. Don't forget. It's a
Mhm.
lot.
But I think that's good though that we brung that up because you have to, like you said, utilize the resources.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
sometimes people are looking for resources to come in a really big old package. And honestly, the resources right there on your phone. You got a notes
It's
app.
right
They have
there.
they have Excel chart on the iPhone. I'm such an old woman. I be learning stuff and be like so amazed now when I see new stuff on my phone. They
Yeah.
have actual Excel charts, numbers charts, like things that we can
Mhm.
use that, like you said, you have to use the resources just to put
Mhm.
you in a better position. I wanted to ask as we kind of wrap up to a
Mhm.
close, how can people, because again, we're in the thick of it, so we know
Mhm.
that we have to create boundaries. We know that we have to sometimes just put that there, but sometimes it's hard to say no. Sometimes it's hard for people to utter. Now, it is not my ministry. My ministry is not hard when it comes
Uh-uh.
to a no. Okay.
Mine either.
I might jazz it up and put some extra words in there for
A
you.
little sprinkle.
But for the people who not there yet, how can they pivot themselves to be in a position to just choose themselves? Like what are
Yeah.
some actual things that they can do, or sentences, because you are really good at your sentences that you come up with and how you enunciate, and you're very eloquent with how you say things.
Oh,
What
thank
are
you.
some things that people can say when they're in that position of needing to just say no?
Yeah, and I'm glad that you phrased it that way because that's kind of what comes to mind. And that's what I encourage people to do, to kind of
Mhm.
have those ready made statements available. So
Mhm.
if you know Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever is coming up and you're going to feel uncomfortable, just
Mhm.
try to go ahead and start phrasing some things. So my absolute go to is that doesn't work for me.
Oh.
That doesn't work for me. Or at this time, if it's a family matter, we're choosing to do something else. I'll get back with you as soon as things slow down to see what would be a better day for the both of us.
Mm. Mhm.
Um, Actually, I'm gonna sit this one out. Sometimes you don't have to add on to it because it creates space for your boundaries to be disrespected.
Mhm.
But yeah, trying to come up with those ready-made statements. Going back to something I said earlier, being vulnerable, even if that's just with one person. And so a lot of times I'm realizing, especially in Black spaces, people
Mhm.
don't know how you feel because people just want to keep it safe. And
Mhm.
so sometimes I encourage people to tell at least one person that you trust in the family, or bring a friend along, bring something or someone into that discomfort so that you can feel supported. And
Mm.
maybe y'all
Mhm.
can come up with a plan to make you feel supported. And
Mhm.
so one thing girl, I'll grab my keys in a minute. You know, um my two, let's go. But yes, even in maybe involving someone in that plan, having a conversation with at
Mhm.
least one person that will be in that space, maybe
Mhm.
y'all will have a Me Too moment. Maybe that person feels the exact same way.
Mhm.
Setting a time frame, like you said, my go-to
Mhm.
is because I talk to folks all day, so I
Mhm.
get very overstimulated, and because I'm
Mhm.
self-aware, I know that I won't be myself. And
Mhm.
so around that time I balance. Okay, I'm a stay home. I'm gonna do my own thing for half the day, and I'm gonna go
Mhm.
see these folks for 3 hours. 3 hours, but balance.
I'm
All in all,
laughing.
balance.
I'm laughing because y'all don't understand. My friend is so serious, right?
Yeah, 3 hours. Time to go off. It's time to go. My friends be like, "What? What is this alarm for? Time to go."
But you know what, Stacey? You said something, and I thought about this earlier with the idea
Mhm.
of being vulnerable. Vulnerability, it can be scary, it can be hard, but it is a necessity. And I
Yeah.
think that a lot of people don't really like vulnerability because what I noticed for me is that the moment I became vulnerable, or should I say, on the other side of vulnerability, there is change. And I think that change is also a word that we in the Black community are not raised to embrace, because the idea or notion of doing anything different than what Big Mama said I had to do is just unfathomable. So I
Mhm.
think it's important that you said, even if you are not at a place to be vulnerable with a therapist, a
Mhm.
clinician, a group of people, you have to have one person in your corner that you can be vulnerable with. Even if it's like, for me, when I was practicing vulnerability for the first
Mhm.
time, I was really big on sending invisible messages. So, like
That's
with
a good way.
my husband, I love I love saying that. Girl, they gonna be sick of
As you
me.
should.
I
As you
love saying that.
should.
When we were dating and I was finding him to be a safe place for me, and I felt like I had something I wanted to tell him, but I didn't want to just come out and say it, I would
Mhm.
use invisible messages. And he was like, what the heck is this? Like, what? Why are you doing this? But and and he's gonna know this when he hears this podcast.
Mhm.
But I never said it. But that was my way of practicing vulnerability, because for me in my head it was still a level of a shell that was over it. But I
Mhm.
still want you to know this. I still want you to know that this is how I feel.
Mhm.
So maybe even if people are able to find the small ways to be vulnerable, but it is important. And I'm glad you said that.
It's important. It's important and it's needed and necessary. And like
Mhm.
I said, once you find those safe spaces, the more you will realize that I'm not alone. And I think there's a
Mhm.
lot of loneliness. That brings up another just emotion that comes up around this time.
Mhm.
Um but yes, being vulnerable enough to say, and this may be super deep, but
Mhm.
just the stories that I hear about, like, I told one person in my family how I felt and how I'm forced to be around this person who has abused me around the holidays. And when I said something to this one person, so were they.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
And so the level of healing that comes with connecting, but it does
Mhm.
require vulnerability. And as Black folks, that's labeled as a weakness for us. And I think that's why we remain so stuck.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. I wanted to ask, for you personally, what
Mhm.
are some ways, now we know that you have your four sets of what you do
Mhm.
to keep
Mhm.
yourself just there, but how do
Mhm.
you check in with yourself to try to, I guess, test the temperature meter of this is where I am and this is where I isn't? Is there any notion that shows you a sign of burnout? Is there anything that kicks in
Mhm.
for you to indicate that?
Girl, you know I'm old. So my body will tell me every
Stacey,
single
you are not that old.
I'm older. So yes, my body will tell me every single time. And
Mhm.
going back, so will my therapist. Right. So
Mm.
when we check
Mhm.
in, he will ask, like, where are we scaling depression? Where are we scaling anxiety?
That's
What did the
good.
week look like?
Mhm.
And so just having that level of accountability, but
Mhm.
also going back to boundaries and my planners that I have, I'm
With the
also
S.
scheduling, yes, I'm also scheduling self-care. And
Mhm.
so I don't just put business related events, but I'm also scheduling, and it sounds silly, but gym, okay, take a nap. You have
Mhm.
a 2 hour break, you need to take a nap right here. And
Mhm.
so just holding myself accountable with that. But the way that I measure is either looking through my planner and seeing how many X's I put, because you should have
Mhm.
took a nap and you chose to fold clothes, right? But also having my therapist to literally ask me, okay, yeah, girl, you didn't. You should have
Mhm.
stayed in the child's place instead of doing all of that.
Listen, I love the way your therapist be therapying you, cuz
Baby,
that is
Dr.
your
V,
match.
he gets me together.
You make me laugh sometimes. You like, man, my therapist pissed me off, and I'm like, okay, sis.
Girl, all the
You
time. And I
needed
tell
it.
them. I tell them. So yes, 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 yes. That's what I would say.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I want to be mindful of your time because y'all, my friend, be book busy and on the move. But as we close, I just want you to take a quick second, whatever comes to mind, whatever you can think of, and I want you to speak directly to the listener who is currently in a season of the seasonal depression. There is a professional thing. I should have wrote it down when you said it earlier, but who is in that place of I'm not there right now. I don't have it in me. I don't know. I don't want to deal with these people. I don't want to talk to my grandma. I ain't got no man. Don't ask me. All the questions that are to come for the holiday season upon us. Just speak something to them about what they can do to just pivot and be prepared and not feel as anxious coming into this holiday and this new year. Anything at
Absolutely.
all.
Absolutely. I would say take care of yourself before and after.
Mm,
So if you know your folks, you know the spaces that you're going to be in, I would say take care of yourself before and after. And I would also say get a therapist. Get a therapist. You do not have to do this alone. Get a therapist so that you can learn the spaces that you need to implement boundaries, so that you can learn just a level of self-awareness, so that you can learn to listen to your body.
mhm,
Your body will tell you everything you need to know.
mhm,
And so if every time you're around this certain family member and your heart gets to racing, your body tells you everything you need to know. And so I would definitely say take care of yourself. I would definitely say get a therapist, and the link to do so is psychologytoday.com. Most of
mhm.
us have pages there. And so I would definitely say take care of yourself and get in therapy. It's a great way to kick off the new year.
Yes, I agree with that. And also for our listeners, our viewers, if you are watching this on YouTube or if you are listening to it with just the audio, we are going to provide resources with the crisis support line that you can reach out to if you have no avenue or if you're not even ready to go and find an actual therapist. But I want to thank my friend Stacy so much for taking the time to come and give us the tools for our toolkit. Anytime I talk to you, I learn more,
Same.
I grow,
Same.
I'm better. I appreciate you. I
Same.
love you. And for our viewers at home, if this episode has warmed your heart in any way, do me a favor. Don't be selfish. Don't be like that.
Don't be
Share it with
selfish.
somebody. Right.
Yes.
Don't do that.
Yes.
And if by watching this episode you've identified a trigger or a trauma, go and get the help that you need because it is the only thing that is going to keep you from being in the same cycle that you were in 2025 going into 2026. There's no reason to stay the same when we all are meant to evolve. Thank you guys for coming to be in the living room with me, a place that is safe and where we reflect. Until next time, peace.
Peace.